Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Flash, and thank you for joining me for another Marvel Snap video. This one is just going to be not what you've been seeing recently, right, with those deck breakdowns from Glazer. This is going to be my own cook, my own build. We built some Thena related things and threw it together, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, everybody, so as you see, we have the deck here, and we settled on Eternal Goblins. It went through different variations on what the name should be. Thena Goblins was boring. The homie Bootman mentioned Goblins, which is an interesting take, but we settled on something that I saw that I liked, Eternal Goblins. So, with that information, this is the deck. We're gonna get into a card by card breakdown of why the card is here, right? And before we do that, again, as I always do, I appreciate y'all being here. Hit that like button, subscribe, share this out. I very much appreciate it. Goes a long way. We're trying to steamroll, right? We're past 500 subscribers, and I very much appreciate that. So we're on our way. And before I get into the card by card breakdown, we got time codes, timestamps, all that stuff on these videos. So if you want to skip the breakdown altogether, you can head right onto the gameplay, and you know, if that's something you want to do, it is an option for you. So let's get into the card by card breakdown. Kitty Pryde is one of the vehicles that makes this deck go. Okay, she helps the Angela package, right? She helps the Thena, you know, what you want to be doing with Thena from turn to turn, allows you to keep doing it and just be able to play the two cards to proc the Thena. And the way that I've built this deck here with so many of the other things, she works well in conjunction with that. And this should come as no surprise to anybody, but the Angela Kitty package is one of the strongest things you can be doing in Marvel Snap, period, hard stop. Nightcrawler is one of the first cards here that is probably one of the things you can swap out, but everybody has Nightcrawler. It costs 1. If you don't hit one of the other things that you're trying to do, playing a Nightcrawler onto an Angela to also work in conjunction with Elsa is still very strong, and again works well with Thena. Nightcrawler is just good here. This is probably the best place and only place to have a decent home for Nightcrawler. Angela, one of the absolute, if not the MVP of this deck. She is arguably, and I don't know many people would argue, the best 2-drop in Marvel Snap. She gets to absurd amounts of power, and there isn't much to be said about Angela that hasn't already been said. This is one of the strongest packages in the game. Yeah. Thena, the new card in Marvel Snap, fits a role, and in my opinion, the best card release for this month. She was the first one up with Gilgamesh, and will probably be the best one after the month is done. Now, Thena offers you a different line of flexibility that Angela does not. She is conjunctionally goes well in the Angela package. She's not in a vacuum better than Angela. She can get to similar power. She just offers you different flexibility, which works well again with Ravonna, which we'll talk about in a second, but also works well to help you sniff out dealing with Professor X problems right now. Because you have Angela down in a lane and you have Thena down in a different lane, your opponent now has to make very difficult decisions, and Thena allows you that flexibility that Angela doesn't, just because she has to be stationed in the one lane. Thena is very good. White Widow, another card that a lot of people do not have, and in a flexible sense can be a different card. It could be Medusa. I would keep it at something that costs 2. Medusa I like just because it gives you that very similar early game tempo that White Widow is also doing. The only difference is White Widow is you want to play her early in the game versus Medusa that you can still play later and get good value out of. You play White Widow late, you've probably missed your window. But all that being said, she offers very good early game tempo. disruption, you know, with clogging on your opponent's side of the board. White Widow is just very good. Works well in this package. And if you don't have White Widow, again, try Medusa. I wouldn't go too much higher in cost, but you could maybe try other things. But everybody has Medusa. But White Widow is very good. Jeff, the baby land shark. It's Jeff. Jeff goes in pretty much every deck in Marvel Snap, except like 2. It's Jeff. Ravonna Renslayer. I'm not sure if anybody's been keeping score. Ravonna is the crux of all of these decks, making them work, including this one. She hits about, I think it's 5 cards in this deck, which, you know, is like half because not including herself. Ravonna has become the standard bearer for cost reduction. Zabu doesn't do what Zabu does anymore, right? He's not ongoing. And Sarah is late and not often played right now. And Ravonna takes care, she reduces so many things. If not Mr. Negative, you're talking about Iron Man, these goblins, all of these things, Professor X, right? All of these things Ravonna helps you with. And in this deck doesn't work without Ravonna, period. If you don't have Ravonna, you can't play this deck. I wouldn't. It would be very tough to play it the way I've built it. You can play a different style, but Ravonna is a S tier card right now, Marvel Snap. Yeah. Green Goblin. Because I decided with this deck, we're not doing Professor X. We're not doing Cannonball. We're not doing those things. So what else is there that we can do that is strong, that beats those things and a lot of other things, right? The Goblins. Because with Ravonna, you can get a 2-cost Green Goblin and a 4-cost Hobgoblin, which means if you've done the math, you can play both of those cards on turn 6 and absolutely blindside your opponent if you've set up the rest of your board very well. Because also, guess what? If Thena's down and you get to play Green Goblin and Hobgoblin on turn 6, not only are you throwing -11 to their side of the board, but you're also proccing Thena. And maybe you played one of these on the Angela lane and you get that extra +2. Just be careful to not play it on a full lane if you have Elsa down on the board, because then they'll get the +2 buff and then it kind of minimizes what you're trying to do. But aside from that, these just help you in so many ways. Negative power on your opponent's side of the board, plus is clogging up to your opponent's side of the board. Unless they're playing Destroy, you know, they're gonna be stuck. If they're playing that Professor X stuff and you manage to snipe one of these cards down on the Professor X lane that they want to go into, you've just won the game. Elsa Bloodstone, another necessity for this deck, because I'm not sure I need to explain why. Because the package is Angela, Kitty, Elsa. You know, we just say Angela, Kitty, but we assume you understand Elsa's part of the package, and she goes well, and you can do something. If you have Thena down, you can play Elsa and Kitty on turn 4, and once you've done that, you're starting to dominate the board state, and you can now really go under and over a lot of different things that your opponents want to be doing in Marvel Snap, and that's just really good. Giving that +2 power, because you can fill up a few lanes here. Obviously the Angela lane, right? But Elsa just is very good in conjunction with that archetype, and again, one of the best things you can be doing in Marvel Snap, and Thena with these cards is really helping to accelerate that. God, this is really good. Red Guardian doesn't work with Ravonna, but we'd be remiss if I didn't sneak a little bit of tech in here, right? Some defensive tech, if you will. I look, it's no secret that I'm a huge fan of Red Guardian. After Shang, I think this is the best tech card in the game. Shuts off so many things. Hey, opposing things that this deck does in a similar fashion. The Angela Kitty package. You see that Angela come down, you're like, let's go ahead and shut that off. You Red Guardian that Angela, you now have the advantage in the match, in the mirror matchup. Regardless of wherever else direction they're going, even if they're going the Cannonball Prof direction, you have the early advantage. Red Guardian has just provided that to you. He's a unique tech card that can be played early, he can be played late, flexible, shuts off very strong things on the other side of the board that couldn't otherwise be shut down. Yeah, my only other suggestion, that if you A, don't have Red Guardian, or B, just don't want to use Red Guardian, my two suggestions for replacements are Luke Cage and Cosmo, because those two cards stop your opponent from doing two things that are very good at stopping the Angela stuff, which is Shang-Chi and or Shadow King. So those two cards are either or good substitutions for Red Guardian. Take your pick. Dealer's choice. Hobgoblin. For the same reasons that Green Goblin's in here, the Goblins go in here. I explained everything before. This is -8 power that for most of the time and majority of the time you're gonna be able to play for 4 energy. And I used the turn 6 example as a thing, but that's not the only. You could play it on turn 5 with Kitty, proccing Thena on turn 5, playing the 2 cards. Like, yes, the Goblins are great, but again, this just all comes back to Ravonna. This is an Angela Kitty package, but guess what? This is largely a Ravonna deck. I said it before and I'll say it again. She's really good. I think eventually she'll get nerfed in some fashion, but for now, she helps so many cards and accelerates so many archetypes. Just play Ravonna. Just put her in everything and build a deck. Iron Man. Now here's the card that is the swing card in a lot of games. With Ravonna, you can play him for 4, okay? Which is in itself busted. When I first started to put this deck together, it looked like Thena, Gilgamesh, and let me see how that stuff works. Gilgamesh, take him out. Take the stuff out that I'm trying to buff him with, right? The Chavez and these things. Take those out. What's the stuff that... This is how the Goblins ended up here, and this is how Iron Man got in here. Because I don't know if you realize this. I'm sure most of you do, but in this build, in this package, the Angela Kitty Elsa package, you put Iron Man down on... You sneak Iron Man down on a full lane, he's going to get the +2 buff from Elsa. Plus what the hell ever else is in the lane already. And again, you sneak an Iron Man down. Hell, let's say your opponent's getting ready to drop that prof, right? And you manage to sneak an Iron Man down in that lane. And let's say it's a lane where you might have Thena or something else already going on. Hey, you probably just go in that lane. Especially if you manage to slip him in the same lane with Thena, forget about it. That's a level of scaling power that is just like, poof, very good. Very, very good. And again, before we get into the gameplay, this is just one more look at the deck as a whole. And yes, will you notice that there isn't any, Sage and Havoc, which are common cards you're starting to see in these builds? No, you can take out Nightcrawler, maybe slip Sage in, just like I mentioned before with White Widow. Maybe you want to take that out, slip in Sage or Havoc or whatever the case may be. I just didn't put them in because I'm like, well, if we put that in, then they're going to start to look like every other deck that's out there, and I want to have some sort of uniqueness to my build. So here we are with this. Is Sage stronger than several things here? Absolutely. Should you put Sage in this deck? Probably. Okay. Now, but I will say with an asterisk, everybody doesn't have Sage. Okay. That's a card that just came out recently. It's a Series 5 card, 6K tokens. Everybody doesn't have Sage. So this is a build that can work well if you don't have that card. This is a deck, and I've built it in a way where there are good substitutions here for these Series 5 cards that I have in here. I've told you what they were already, except for Thena. In this build, Thena's really hard to replace. She gives this deck that extra bit of and flexibility that it wouldn't there have otherwise. But again, and again, same thing with Elsa, but that's tough, which is why I'm recommending to everybody probably go ahead and out and get Thena, just in case, you know, any adjustments might be made. But Thena's very good. Just let's just get to the gameplay. All right, let's get it on. Eternal Goblins in the building. Okay, so now opening hands like these, I'm not over the moon about just playing Nightcrawler for no reason, because he loses all value when you do that. So I like to skip here, and hopefully we get one of those twos. We see Attilan perfect. We get Ravonna. We get Ravonna down now, and then we're off to the races. There's Angela, and remember, like I mentioned before, this is a good time to play Red Guardian. Let's shut the Angela off now, and then we can kind of go from there, see what direction we're headed after that. Now, of course, that is completely up to the pilots, because now you're looking at this hand, you're like, well, I could play Goblin and Red Guardian, and that might be, I'm sorry, Goblin and Nightcrawler, and that's a good too. And you'd be right. Okay, because you could also clog up the Angela lane. That's a decision up to the pilot. For me, let's shut it off, because that's so much more deflating. It just ruins any chance of any more scaling for the card for the rest of the game, right? Versus the Goblin being there, they can still scale it, right? Because they still have the slot available. They can still scale it with Kitty, etc. Now, it's turn 4. There's a good chance they'll be able to play 2 cards in that middle lane. So I don't want to play a Goblin there. That's not a chance I'm willing to take. So we're going to go ahead and play it over here. They only played the 1, which is surprising. They probably didn't have anything else to play. And they play their own Red Guardian, which my Red Guardian. Definitely a snap condition here for me, because they were taking the 50-50 on whether they could shut off the Ravonna or not. And it didn't work. So we have the advantage, like the hard advantage. So now I want to go Elsa into Jeff, and yeah, we still have the advantage because we got this -8 over here. We got the 8-point advantage in that lane. We can move the Jeff over. There's the Prof and a Nightcrawler. So now I can move the Jeff over into the Prof lane. Even if they have Jeff, we still have the advantage, right? And they retreat. So I would have snapped a long time ago, but again, I would have snapped the moment I was getting ready to play the Red Guardian on the Angela. That's where I would have snapped. And if not there, the next snap opportunity is once they played the Red Guardian, trying to hit our Ravonna and hit our Red Guardian, I would have snapped there also. So those are your two kind of snap lines that were available that presented themselves in this game. Alright, so we got a Khazar from the hub. Don't need that, but we've got everything we need for a good opening line. I mean, we don't have like Kitty turn 1, which would be nice, but we've got Ravonna here, we've got Angela, we got things we can do on turn 2, which is very good. More times than not, you're going Angela first, because again, she's the MVP here. But we're gonna drop the Ravonna and then see what happens after that. Ravonna mid, because I also want to try to get that extra energy. Well, there goes that plan. Sinister London, very good for us. Space Throne, not so good for us. Now I will say this, once you get an Elsa down though, anything you put in the Space Throne, like those movers, Nightcrawler, Jeff, they're gonna get the Elsa buff. So that's very good. They are snapping. Okay. We don't know why yet. Let's see what happens. Maybe they have... Okay, they have Nocturne. Okay, so now they have 2 Nocturnes. Can we snipe Space Throne before they move the Nocturne? I don't know. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try it. They have Prio, so if they move the Nocturne into Space Throne, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And then I'll just put Angela over here, plus... No Nightcrawler yet. Okay, they didn't move Nocturne, so we should have Space Throne sniped out, which is good. Oh god, I forgot about that. Remember we were just talking about that? Completely forgot about it. But that's okay, we still have the advantage there. I'm good with a Hobgoblin in the middle, just in case. That's a lie, because if it goes into Space Throne, we've now really hurt ourselves. We could put Iron Man in the Space Throne, and then we can do, because Iron Man's gonna get the buff from Ravonna, so that's not bad. I'm good with that. I think that's okay. There's a world where we put Iron Man into the hub, but let's just put Nightcrawler. Actually, you know what? Let's pivot. Let's put Nightcrawler here, and then we can put Hobgoblin into Sinister London. Hey, or we could put Hobgoblin into... Nah, let's do it this way. Yeah. There was a good chance we were gonna lose that middle lane, that left lane anyway. So yeah, the Goblin gets stuck on our side in the left lane, but that's kind of okay, honestly, because now we can just go... What do we got? 6 here. We're in trouble if they have Jeff, and I say that only because they can put Jeff into the Space Throne. Because I want to go... The decisions that must be made here. Let's move Nightcrawler mid. Okay. And then we can go Red Guardian, Thena, get the buff from Elsa, and Thena will get a buff over here. Red Guardian will... Well, there's no guarantee that Red Guardian will go into this right lane, but let's see what happens. I'm curious. Science, right? We love doing things for science around here. He could go right, he could go left. Okay, he went left. Thena's gonna go right though, so that locks that up. There's a blob, and not enough. Victory secured. We got there. All right, this is a good deck, y'all. I'm telling you, this is a good deck here. Okie dokie. Miniaturized lab. While I don't love that, White Widow's good for that. So not only is she good with early tempo, but now you drop her in the miniaturized lab, and your opponent's got to sit and look at that -4, you know, Widow's Kiss for 3 more turns. So let's get on the same accord. I could put Thena over here, right? But this is so much... White Widow is so much more fun to do this. So let's do that. So now that's a lane we're just gonna have a consistent level of prio in. Based on the count, we could go Thena Nightcrawler. Here's the thing though. Now, I try to plan this because we could go Thena Nightcrawler now, but if we do that with what we have in hand, we're only left with the potential to play one card next turn. So, not knowing what we're going to draw off the top. So with that being said, let's go ahead and put Elsa down. Because now next turn we could go Thena Nightcrawler and still give us variance on this draw and next turn draw. So boom, there's Angela, off to the races. This is snap right here. If I wasn't doing this, if we weren't recording, this is a snap condition, okay? We're gonna go Angela, Thena, we're off to the races. Boom. We're on 10 right now. Could I have also played Red Guardian there for the hope? Yes. Can I still do that? Yes. That's still an option, but the problem is that if I do that now, if I play Red Guardian, hit the hope, we lose the ability to go anything else in this lane for the rest of the game. And I'm not sure I love that plan of action. The plan I'm gonna go with is Ravonna into Nightcrawler. Okay, we get the buff on Thena, we get a buff on Nightcrawler. Ravonna's gonna be able to discount the Iron Man next turn. We have a lot going, and hopefully we can pull something we can play with the Iron Man. There's a Red Hulk. Okay, so I'm looking to go Iron Man next turn for sure. Okay, hopefully I get something else I can play with it. Okay, that didn't happen, so no big deal. We move Nightcrawler. I'm gonna let them play for I wish it was something other than Hobgoblin that came off the top, right? Could have been Kitty or Jeff or Green Goblin. That would have been great, but we can win middle lane with Iron Man. So it's just a matter of where do we move Nightcrawler, right? Do we try to fight for the left lane? He moves the Jeff out, and let's do that. Let's hope they try to do something here and disregard this. We play Iron Man mid. That should be enough to win the middle lane. Okay, they abandon right, which is good. We like that because we should win middle. Stegron moves Nightcrawler over. Okay, that's fine. Sage, I don't think is gonna get big enough. She almost. Oh, they got it with the Red Hulk. Nice. It's a good snipe. Stegron, don't see that every day. That's a good play. They just barely got there. Had we now again, this is an easy win if we get Jeff or Kitty or the Green Goblin. We had like a 75% chance of pulling something off the top that would have actually just straight away won us the game. It didn't happen. Sometimes the RNG, the odds aren't in your favor. It's a card game. Deal with it. Okie dokie. Vaudeville Villain. Love this opening hand. Kitty would have made it perfect, but I love this opening hand because we have Ravonna we can play straight away on turn 2. Luke's bar is good for us because we have Jeff naturally. There's a Power Stone. Okay. Some more Thanos action. I'm a fan. Project Pegasus. Oh boy. I'm gonna play the Hobgoblin. I'm gonna play both Goblins, I think. It's risky because they could fill the board out, but I'm gonna play both Goblins and not Jeff. Okay, they didn't play both. They didn't fill the board out, but we're about to ruin this right lane for them unless they have some destroy cards. Okay, that's not bad. Psylocke into Sasquatch. So they bounce the Sasquatch. Why? It's an odd choice. So now I play White Widow on Luke's bar. No. I'll tell you what I'll do first. Let's go Elsa. That was an odd choice. I feel like there was a misplay that happened there. That's alright. Again, the Goblins going out was a snap condition. So pay close attention to that, because I'm very specifically not snapping just to show, you know, those lines and making sure they play out. Let's play one more, since that one was like a short one. Let's get one more in. All right. Last one here as we continue to showcase the power of this deck, of the Eternal Goblins. I'm still not sure I'm stuck on the name. I like it, but I don't know, whatever. Drop down in the comments if you got a better name. I'm willing to, I hear all options. Just because I built the deck doesn't mean, you know, like, we can't, you know, rent out the rights to the name. This opening hand I like way less than the previous one. We don't have Ravonna, no Kitty, no Angela, no Thena. That's not good. They have Ravonna. I'm gonna play the Red Guardian because and then Sakar actually really helps us, but let's get Red Guardian down on their Ravonna. Maybe they might put Angela over there and we can snipe that instead. They might go Angela Thena right here on this turn, but they would probably do that in the middle lane. Okay, it wasn't Thena, it was White Widow, but come on, did we not call that? Okay, so it could have been anything other than the Nightcrawler, literally. Okay, that's fine. Let's just we'll go Angela Theta, and then I don't know. Excuse me. We'll work it out. I can't. Okay, I don't mind where we now can go Kitty and Jeff. Shout out to Jeff for being, you know, the homie here. I'm gonna put my Jeff over here. Mix things up here. Now again, this is why I tell you Ravonna is what really makes this deck go, okay? Because you see how much less is happening here without Ravonna on the board. We're still able to play, but it feels way worse. Feels way worse without Ravonna. Like with Ravonna on the board, we could go Green Goblin, Iron Man right here and maybe wreck shop, but we can't do that now. I don't like playing White Widow late. I mentioned that before because there's a good chance they just fill the board. It's not as risky as like playing, you know, Green Goblin, but we can still go Kitty and Iron Man. That's an option. I don't know how much I love it. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be fair, but let's move Nightcrawler here, put Kitty here with Iron Man. If Elsa was on the board, I'd feel way better about this Iron Man play, but you know, it is what it is. We probably lose here, but I'm curious to see. Let's play it out for the sake of curiosity. Okay, one card played there. Sage, that's it. That's all they had, which is, again, Sage is a good card. If we just had Elsa down, we could have stolen that middle lane. No, wait a minute. Oh, no, we're good. We got it. Okay, well, we don't do the math on gaming with Flash. All right, that's it. All right, so as you can see, we got some games in to support the things that I said in the deck breakdown. This deck is very strong. You can win games without playing the Professor X stuff in this type of build. And not only that, you can beat the Professor X things. It beats Hela because of the clog. There's a lot happening, and you really just run over Hela a lot of the time because Hela's not playing any counter tech to you, so you can just clog up their board. They don't have the space, and then you just go over the top where you need to, and you win a lot of those games. So very good deck. If you have the cards, play them. There's not a lot of the Series 5 stuff in here that you can't replace. Again, the things you need in this build to make this deck go: Angela, Kitty, Elsa, Ravonna, and Thena. I'm gonna say Thena as well, obviously. She's not like a necessity card specifically overall, but in these, if you play these Angela Kitty style of decks, she's a top card in Marvel Snap. In her current form, there may come a time down the road where she gets adjusted, but right now she's cracked in this format. Even that last game you just saw right there, where I wasn't sure about the numbers, but in an Iron Man lane, even without the Elsa buff, we didn't have Elsa, we didn't have Ravonna down on that board. Being able to go Kitty Iron Man on the last turn is still a thing you can do, and Thena likes that. You played on the Thena lane, we had Angela there. Even with the Widow's Kiss in that lane, clogging up a spot and doing no additional points for us, still just went over the top in that lane. And that's the lane where they had Havoc, they had Angela. It's just very good, right? They had the Thena in that lane. This is a good deck. Check it out. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the love. Check me out on all the socials down there, Twitter, all of those things. Come by my streams, my Twitch streams. We have a lot of fun. We have cool vibes. Retro, we do Throwback Thursdays, all that stuff. Like and subscribe this. Share it out. Tell a friend, tell a friend. I'm Flash. I will catch you guys on the next video, which should be the Wednesday going to Thursday. So next video will technically be Thursday, right? With the stream team stuff. Catch you then. Peace.